Typically for a dish, you kind of want to, make sure you have about 4 ounces of protein when you serve something up. So what we'll do is we'll cut these in about thirds. 14 ounces in half is 7. And then if we cut them in thirds, let's just assume it's maybe about 3.5 ounces. So we have a family of 4 that we're feeding. So we definitely want to make it look a little bit appealing and appetizing and nice and bountiful for them. So we're basically just going to allow these to kind of do their self. We're just going to cut them into some pieces here, and then we're going to add a little bit of red onion and saute them off, basically giving our pan some really nice flavor for our Brussels sprouts a little bit later, and you'll see that kind of come into play. So there's that. And I'm going to, I can add those a little bit later. Turn the pan on here, a little bit of medium-high heat there, and then we'll also start this going for the mashed. The mashes. Again, I'm French trained, so butter's the name of the game. You can also use ghee. You can also use any kind of substitute, really. Butter just has a really nice, rich flavor, and if and when you can use it, I say use it, honestly. You gotta have a little bit of fat in your life. Everybody loves a little bit of juice going on, so enjoy the fat and just kind of throw it in there. It's definitely not vegan friendly, and for that I would say use ghee, use oil, safflower oil, sesame seed oil, sunflower oil, something that's going to have a little bit of flavor but not really add too much, because your turnips and your parsnips are going to have pretty good flavor, but if you do them right, they're definitely just going to taste kind of like mashed potatoes for the simple palate with a little bit of a bite. So I think they're really, really good. There's a lot of health benefits to eating turnips and parsnips versus potatoes. They're, like I said earlier, a little bit more fibrous. And they're definitely good for bone health and density. So we are going with that for those reasons. You see the purple on the outside of the turnip. Generally, if I'm going to roast that, I don't take the purple off. Just because it adds a nice color, but because we kind of want to go with a play on mashed potatoes, I'm going to actually peel these today and then kind of shave the parsnips down a little bit. Again, you guys know my philosophy as far as root vegetables. I kind of don't like to take the essence of the root vegetable itself, i.e. the skin off, because to me that's where the nutrients and all the good stuff is. But for consistency, we're going to take that off. And then over here, you see the Brussels sprouts I already kind of prepped. Got a couple little olive garlic cloves in there, sorry about that. They're going to be basically sauteed in the pan after the turkey sausage that we hit up, because we want that flavor to kind of marry into the whole dish. We're going to hit them with a little bit of deli mustard and some white wine and a little bit of aged vinegar, just to kind of give it a little bit more flavor and let it do its magic. Again, when it comes to vegetables, I like live vegetables, so I don't really cook them that long. I don't like them to be super mushy, and I like them to have a little bit of bite back. Once my pan gets nice and heated, then we're going to go ahead and do the stuff with the things. While we're waiting for that, we'll go ahead and move these sausage into a bowl or something so I can use this cutting board to go ahead and then peel down my turnips. So we will go ahead and set this here. It's going to be nice and simple. Toss this in the garbage. That is though.
I noticed you're cutting this with the skin on. Is there things to that?
No. There's steps and processes to cutting things, and if you don't have to go above and you don't have to go out of your way to do everything step by step by step. There's a certain thing called mise en place, or working kind of in order of things. You don't peel every single individual parsnip and then cut it up. You don't peel every single turnip and then cut it up. What you do is you do as least steps as you possibly can to get something nice and fluid, work efficiently. So because I have to peel this anyways, might as well cut it in half, and then that way you can really get down into the onion itself and see the piece of skin, instead of just playing with it from the outside and trying to get it off. You can get that one piece, and for me it's just easiest to get that one piece and pull that off. It's easier than playing with it while it's whole and trying to peel just the onion and all, and you don't need that little small piece of skin. You don't need it. I've worked in tons of restaurants, and everybody's like, oh, we got to make sure we save everything, and you should, because you want your food costs nice and low, because you don't want to lose out on money. But I mean, you're not really losing much there. So because we have sort of larger chunks with the turkey sausage, we're kind of going to go with a larger slice down on the onion here to also add to that and give a little bit of definition. Typically with the sausage dish, I would do like peppers to go with it. But this young lady, again, is nightshade allergic, so we can't do that. So again, that's why I'm using the white or the red onions to give us color and flavor at the same time. So again, we're just going to do like a, I kind of want to call it like a bâtonnet slice on the onion, which is a little bit thicker than like a julienne slice. And it just kind of gives a little character to the onion itself. So probably going to want to turn that on the side.
So does it make a difference which way you slice the onion? Like,
not really. Not really. Some people slice it certain ways. I slice it this way because that's kind of how I like it. The sound of love, as my chefs would say. Basically, kind of want to let those go, get them cooking down just a smidge, and then we're just going to throw that in there. The turkey
there's
in
no
there.
oil in this pan.
No oil in the pan, and again, because we're working with the products that's going to have its own fat, we might add a smidgen or a pinch of some olive oil a little bit later. But for the most part, we got fat going in the mashed potatoes, and we'll use the flavor from this and from the turkey sausage, which has a little bit of fat in it itself, to kind of marry together the Brussels sprouts. So if we don't necessarily, yeah, I'm French trained, but if we don't necessarily need to overdo the fat, let's not overdo the fat. Moderation is key for everything for me. So,
okay.
Here we go. And as you see, the butter's melting down just a smidge. What I like to do is I like to go ahead and get my parsnips and turnips in that butter mixture just to kind of get the flavors pulling out. Again, with root vegetables, you kind of want to extract the flavor from them as much as you possibly can. You're just kind of cooking them, roasting them, things of that sort, sauteing them, braising things like that, just to pull out the flavor first. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to cut down the parsnips just into a smaller chunk or a smaller piece to get some, sort of consistent sizes. So everything kind of cooks together at the same time period and we don't really lose too much time on that. And again, you do notice that no, I'm not cutting the skin off of this because to me, that's where your nutrients are, as well as with the, fibrosity. I don't even know how you say that word, but as well with the
Well,
fiber.
isn't that what a lot of nutritionists say, that the base of your nutrients come out the skin of the actual...
I have heard that, and that's honestly the practices that I follow. I don't necessarily like to speak on what other people may have heard from other people because you never really quite know where they're getting their information from. A couple of years ago they said don't drink milk and don't eat beef, and now they're saying, eat beef and drink milk or eat it in, moderation. And that's always been my thing. Moderation is the key. A little bit of everything, little less is more. A little bit goes a long way. You've heard all of those cliche statements and sayings. So just moderation. I don't really go to the gym or work out or eat right, but I don't necessarily at the same time look like I eat the things that I do eat. So I just practice moderation, or I'm lucky. I really wish this was live. We can have questions. And again, you'll just see they're in kind of like similar sizes because they're going to start working themselves down.
So that means they're going to,
They're going to cook basically, and we're not going to have too many pieces.
They're going to shrink.
Not really shrink, just, cook.
Okay. Okay, so here's the parsnips. Nice, buttery, sitting. And then the turnips are going to go in there. And again, we're looking at these onions. Move them around a little bit. So now with the onions cooking down so far, do they need to be browned all the way through?
No, I don't really want
them
them brown. I just kind of want them to be a little bit more tender. They're just a little bit softened.
Smells amazing.
The smell of it would be nice.
Okay, so now what are we doing over here?
Over here again, because we're doing mashed turnips, I'm taking off that purple layer basically, which is just the outer layer. Again, if I was roasting these like for a salad bar or a salad or, just to have roasted turnips, I would not take this layer off. Again, for several reasons. Again, I believe that the nutrients are in this layer, and it's got color, you know, and I mean, who doesn't love a little color? I mean,
Do we know if the skin from that would bother a nightshade individual? We don't know.
rutabagas and turnips are more closely related to the cabbage family and are not in the nightshade realm, as well as parsnips. So you don't really have to worry about that at all. And because they're not, you know, related to potatoes, really, they're also not in the nightshade family. So we don't have to worry about that being a problem as far as the young lady being allergic to, you know, wheat flour or wheat germ, wheat protein, i.e. celiac, or the nightshade allergies. So that's also why I went with these instead of mashed potatoes. And I do know that the young lady loves mashed potatoes, so I think that she'll be quite pleased to see these in her dish this evening. Ooh, I sweat.
It's a part of the job.
And I'm sorry, I have a very painful hangnail that I'm kind of dealing with, so that's why I'm a little bit handicapped looking in the kitchen today.
Comes with the territory.
That it does. That it does.
So now to get these to the texture that you want them, will you quarter cut them or you'll bite size cut them?
I'm going to cut them basically so that they give me about the same shape and size that I got from the parsnips. Again, so that they cook in about the same amount of time period. You notice that turnip roots are actually a little bit softer, kind of like potatoes. They're a little bit softer than parsnips. So that's why the parsnips can kind of sit over there and marry in the butter a little bit more. And we got some brown, we got some coloring going on, and that's exactly what I want. And then goes in the sausage. That's going to be the protein there for that meal today.
That's the onions and turkey kielbasa.
Yep.
And then this is the parsnips.
Parsnips going on. We'll get a little garlic in here, a little salt and pepper. Because this is German, we don't want to do too much to it. We'll kind of change the flavor concept and profile. So we'll try to
Smells so good. It smells so good.
stick to that plan.
Just butter and parsnips right there, guys. That smells good. Look at that sausage. Caramelized red onion and sausage. Protein. Color. Flavor. Cubed turnips. Bite size, about the same size as the parsnips. And then when does the Brussels go in? When will they go in?
So after we get done sauteing the turkey sausage, we're going to throw the Brussels actually in that same pan. We're going to pull that turkey sausage flavor and caramelized onion flavor off of there. We're going to hit it with a little bit of mustard, and then we're going to toss those right in the oven at about 375, 350 for about, I'm losing stuff, for about 10 minutes, just to kind of get them cooked, basically.
Okay.
I don't need this stuff, so. Not really chef style today. This hangnail's killing me, so. And in we go.
And just take the wood and stir and just kind of stir it around.
Yeah, get that butter to kind of work itself into now the turnip roots. It's already working into the parsnips. And I also left that parsnip shell on there to give it a nice buttery flavor color.
Nice. So this is like a real seasonal type of meal
Very
too.
seasonal meal. You got roasted things going on. You got braised things going on. You got
Not so much barbecue
root
type things.
vegetable.
We got a lot of seared and sauteed type of
Seared,
stuff.
braised, roasted. This is the time period for those things. You know, searing is a year-round thing. If you ask me, you can serve braised stuff year-round, but don't nobody like to be in a hot kitchen all day long. I like to be outside when I can be. But it's fall. I like the smell of burning wood. I hate s'mores. I hate s'mores. I hate s'mores. But you know, somebody finds them necessary, so they exist. But I hate s'mores, so there's that. But burning wood's great. The smell of burning wood over a nice fire. You know, just I smelled it last night, and I was like, oh my God, this is heaven. Really was.
So once roasting the Brussels and garlic, are we trying to get a special color, or are we just giving them a little bit of heat?
We're just gonna give them a
We're
little
just
bit
wilting
of
them a
browning.
little bit.
Well, what we're gonna do is get a little bit of brown from two things: from searing them in the pan, as well as hitting them with a little bit of the deli style mustard there. Typical German dishes often have a side of mustard on them. We're going to actually infuse that flavor into the dish.
Now I'm going to ask you something that, again, as a reference. They say mustard is really good as it relates to...
It's heart friendly, it's heart health friendly, it's blood friendly, it's got vinegar in it.
They say it's good for stomach, the
So
digestive.
It's great for digestive because it's got vinegars in it. So yeah.
So vinegar is a key to good digestion. Sort of, kind
We're
of.
getting a little bit more color than I like. So like I said before, that's when we're going to definitely hit it with a little bit more fat because we're not getting a lot from the turkey sausage. But I thought we would.
And what was that?
This is a little sesame seed oil.
Yeah.
Give it a little color.
Give it some color now. Give it some char. You like to call it pata?
Pata.
Pata.
There's crazy talk for pot sauce. So I call it pot.
Pata. Crazy talk from starring from the pot. Pata. Yeah. Yeah. And we got our parsnips and turnip paste for the mash in the butter. Okay, so now I see the milky part of the butter then went went clear. What does that mean?
Basically what you have there when you heat up butter is the milk solids separate from the oil part or the fat part. Typically when you skim that butter off, then it's called clarified butter. That's the stuff you spend like $7.99 a pound in the store for, and that's basically what it is. The milk solids have been taken out of the butter, and you get more of a rich, nutty, or a richer flavor of the butter itself. That's one of the things that we also learned in school that they taught us. So. See that?
Okay, we just went to a...
We just want to get these off the fire. We got enough color on there, so we're just going to kind of cover these up and let them kind of sit here and be hot on the stove top there while we cook the other stuff. And in a minute we'll throw them in the oven, and they'll go with the Brussels once the Brussels go in the oven. With the Brussels, we already got the garlic in there, and yeah, I like to use whole garlic sometimes. This is a great case to use whole garlic. You have homework to do? You have homework to do? You have homework to do. A little bit busy. Okay. Braised Brussels, what we'll do here is just kind of hit them in that oil. They're going to pull that smoked turkey sausage flavor from there. Friends go. Hit them with a little salt and pepper. And count always. Pepper as
10
well.
count even if you shake or just if you twist?
Just a crack. Just on the crack. So what we'll do is we'll allow these to kind of cook down a little bit, get a little bit of color on there. Turn that down a smidge. And we're going to hit these with a little bit of white pepper. White pepper because we kind of want to keep that color, keep it mashed potato-like. A little white pepper, a little bit of salt.
Made 10 count.
Then what we'll do now, we'll go ahead and throw in our, because the flavors are there, we'll throw in our stock and let that kind of be the reason, as a young lady that worked with me said all the time. And let that be the reason. I don't put a lot of flavor, I don't put a lot of liquid in this because that liquid basically I kind of want it to cook out and be the base for the mashed potatoes. I don't like to add cream and all that other stuff. So what we have here should be good enough for some nice mashed potatoes. And then we'll grab the top and put that on there and let that come to a nice boil. Who doesn't love a clear pot top? There we go. As you can see, we're getting some nice color on there. We'll go ahead and add in some mustard. About 2 tablespoons of mustard. Maybe 2.5. It might be 3. And then what we're going to do is hit it with a little bit of white wine as well to make like a liquid for it to cook in.
Does it matter what kind of white wine, a brand name?
Not really. You kind of want to go with something savory, but I mean, it's white wine, so I don't too much drink white wine. I cook with it mostly, but I keeps the bottle in the house. I do keeps the bottle on staff. Again, I don't peel off the top layer. I just do it all in one fell swoop. So.
Smell that mustard. Nice color. Nice wilting going on.
Nice. Get a little bit more white wine.
A little more pepper.
Now, Brussels sprouts already have a bite to them, so if you're going to use white wine, anything like a Chablis, a Chardonnay, or something that's not too dry is going to be great because that sweet effect is going to really kind of marry in with that. Whenever I cook Brussels sprouts, so it doesn't matter if I'm braising them, roasting them, grilling them, whatever, I always hit them with a little bit of vinegar. That's kind of my little secret to why my Brussels sprouts are like, I don't like Brussels sprouts, but for some odd reason I like yours. Yeah, well, this is why. So there we go. And that's basically going to be the end of that. We're going to take these, we're going to throw them in the oven and let them kind of marry together with that flavor. And we're going to bring this to a boil, a nice rapid rolling boil, and let that break down the turnips and the parsnips. And then we're going to hand mash that nice down to a nice little mash. You guys sit tight, sit right, and we'll be back in just a couple moments.